When a heavy horse enthusiast travels to Little Maria, what will he do? Did you open a cross.talk club to promote traditional culture? To break the lifespan theory, leading a pony to cultivate immortality. He also married a pony. Harmful, it's not as good as him leading the creatures of the World Series to beat the ancient gods. New book, kowtow for updates, seek data _ Chapter 1. My past. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The rainbow pony not only brings me joy, but also gives me the courage to face loneliness in life. The beautiful colors and smiles of the ponies, filled with a happy life, always touch the strings of my heart. It's so painful, such a beautiful country is right in front of me, separated by less than a millimeter of transparent screen. Like a ravine in the sky, unreachable. My childhood family was not harmonious, and my appearance can be said to be a stone in my parents' lives. After I was born, my grandparents and my 2 aunts took turns raising me, and my 2 aunts didn't even know my 2 uncles at that time. The people I should kiss the most should be them. The villagers are all lifelong old farmers, and they don't recognize a single word for duda. Both aunts also have their own jobs and cannot often teach me how to read and do math. Grandma cried and begged her parents to take me back to kindergarten as I was older, kneeling on the ground. Grandpa watched silently, holding his coffin book in his hand. According to your grandfather's wishes, just bury him if he dies. There is a daycare center in the city, and he doesn't want to see your parents. He wants to send you directly into it. When I go home for dinner in the future, my grandmother mentioned it to me when we sit in the yard to cool off. As it stands now, my dad is just a dead scumbag, a contractor who doesn't go home often, but whenever he comes home, he always drinks and swears. My mother, a pretty good woman, somehow married him blindly. They either argue or fight. My mother is a weak woman who can't beat that scumbag. She often gets beaten to death. As a child, it's inevitable to be scared when I see my parents beating me to death, so I cry and I get whipped as well. A cold face welcomes each other, and a big mouth sends them off. Children will not know that they were blinded by their parents when they were born. They just want their parents to smile at them. Idiotic delusions. So I am very careful every day. I don't know why my parents will beat me up. I forgot what it feels like to laugh. That's when I developed the habit of talking to myself. After getting through kindergarten, on the first day of elementary school, a girl smiled at me. She showed her teeth and smiled brightly, "Hello." At that time, I felt like she was curious why she had to laugh. "Why don't you laugh?" She leaned towards my nose. I was tickled by the breath she exhaled, so don't turn your head and ignore her. She pointed at the scar on my face and said, "There are many scars on your face. Are you being naughty?" My mother said that naughty children can get hurt and have scars on their faces. Her words make me feel a bit uncomfortable. Maybe I'm really not good enough. I pondered, but still ignored her. "Humph, you're ignoring me." She turned around and smiled as she leaned back against my body. When I ignore my mother, she will, like this. No child is not afraid of itching. She scratched me so hard that I couldn't catch my breath and forced me to call her sister. "You call me sister, and I'm not stingy either. Here's some candy for you to eat." When she takes candy, all her features are twisted together. I remember it very clearly. At that time, I only focused on watching her and couldn't pay attention to the candy she was extending. She still asked me fiercely, "Are you too young? Be careful, I'll scratch you." After regaining my senses, I also smiled. I don't know why, maybe I just want to laugh. "Wow, she looks like an angel." I looked at her and smiled happily, thinking that the angels in fairy tales should be like her when they smile. It would be even better if she didn't tickle me. I always find her tickling me and pretending to be angry. Her excuses are always soft when I pinch them, more comfortable than holding a doll. I am still a boy by nature, and I hope to become a towering man. Of course, I don't want her to say that to me. I am a man. How could it be? Here's sugar for you. Then be gentle. 2 children walked out of the school gate holding hands. I looked at her smile that seemed to bring joy and asked her, Xiaohan, are you an angel? She rubbed my head and said, Fool, angels have halos on their heads. I dumbfounded and placed a circle around her head, saying, Oh, you have it now. It doesn't matter, She giggled again. The best day. I think so. The best day, indeed. The first 3 years of elementary school with her company were the happiest for me. Surprisingly, every day someone smiled at me and cared about me. This kind of beauty only lasted until 3rd grade. When I reported to school, I didn't see her. I thought she overslept, but what came was the news that she had already followed her parents to school in a big city and a pink letter. I took the letter from the homeroom teacher's hand hesitantly, not crying, but feeling empty and lacking in one piece in my heart. I hope it's a dream, and I hope she can still creak me when I wake up. I feel like being creaked is a wonderful thing. Specifically, she bullied her. At least that way, she's still by my side, smiling at me. That day was cloudy, and the pure white clouds on the dome were splashed with a layer of black ink, brewing a low mood. In the afternoon, thousands of light spears pierced through the obstacles of Mo Yun, and the light twisted and interwoven in the sky, forming a rainbow ring. That's Xiaohan's angel ring, isn't it? I thought to myself, if I could give her a rainbow ring, wouldn't she be able to leave? Perhaps for this reason, among all the ponies, I like Yunbao Daisy the most. Later on, my mother divorced that scumbag and desperately sought my custody. A woman resists a group of ferocious men, vowing to make up for the love her son has never felt before and protect me well. As I watched my mother struggle with worldly hardships, I realized that mother could be a great word. Unfortunately, good people do not last long, and disasters are left for thousands of years. The true sorrow cannot be cried in the present, but when I recall it in the later days, tears also pour out. I quite agree. Feeling that there was no hope in life, I went to a Taoist temple and a side temple, chanting gods and practicing Buddhism to clear my heart, and praying for my mother's passing. Some novels have written that human life is mostly composed of colors and emotions. I empathize with this statement. Now only when I think of my old mother and Xiaohan, the throbbing pain in my heart reminds me of one thing. Oh, I'm still alive, damn it. This is the only thing I can curse at. A few years later, my 2 aunts found me and gave me the hundreds of thousands left by my mother. After resigning as the host, I returned to my hometown. My mother left me hundreds of thousands, and I also saved around 100,000, enough to replace the adobe house that raised me with a modern Western-style building. My grandparents divided 3 out of 10 children's 2 acres of land for me, and my younger brothers and sisters felt sorry for me as a big brother. They also felt that this land was useless and gave me all their land. I rented it out, it was rented by people from the same village. The asking price is not high, it's only 100 yuan per acre of land per year, but he has survived and won't give anything, looking like a scoundrel. It doesn't matter, I just can't bear to let this land that raised me become barren. Decades have passed since the scene of mischievous children pouting their buttocks in the fields, digging and catching ground dogs. The elderly people who, when I was young, held my hand and called me obedient have all fallen into the ground, mostly in mourning. In this world where beasts die for wealth, it can also be considered a good thing. During the Chinese New Year or Qingming festival, I would take advantage of the night when everyone is locked and sleeping, kneeling alone with wine and pastries under the moonlight to kowtow to them. There's nothing to be afraid of, it's all the elderly people who watched me grow up, as well as my grandparents. Living people, I don't know them, and they only see me as a weirdo. The nearly 20 years since I left have given this remote rural area a touch of a small county town. I renovated my old house and opened a milk tea shop. There are not many types, and there are not many tricks. They are all made by myself using sugar, milk, tea, and some sweet potatoes and wheat. The new product next door, Sweet Summer, is simply hanging up and beating my product. So I hardly made any profit, so I never thought about making money from this, just to make myself look more like a normal person. Not only do I sell milk tea, but I also make some desserts, cook some fruits, and air some dried fruits. As a result, I purely wanted to make some snacks for myself, but the crushed fruit was very popular. The neighboring milk tea shop even started a cooperative relationship with me and launched many green drinks. The main source of income for a milk tea brewer is actually dried fruits, and sometimes I also think about changing careers. I forgot to say, I raised a stone that I learned from Huichi. There is a circular ink crack in the center of its body, so I named it Ink Ring. Both the store and home have installed broadband, and the store can also meet my entertainment needs. In the store, I can still have an excuse to wait for customers to deceive myself. Maybe I have something to do, after all, I don't know what else I can do in that cold house after I go back. So the store opens early and closes late. If you're tired, take a nap at the counter. If you're bored, listen to Dian Society's Cross.Talk or Xiaoma's songs. I spend most of my time lying on the table in a daze, and I don't know when I started. I no longer have much interest in the glamorous beauties I often pass by on the road, and I just feel that they are not as pleasing to the eye as little horses. Haha. Watching an animation can even change one's sex fetish, and I'm also a freak. Sometimes I also close the store early because I want to walk around. Where can we go? Walking aimlessly in the village, stopping and walking, looking at the moon, feeding stray cats and dogs. A few stray dogs in the village became familiar with me because they had about 10 chicken legs. They no longer called me to bite me, but instead scared the little ones who pointed at me. They even took me on a tour of the secret base. Those cats are arrogant and ruthless. When they eat meat, they let me rub them, but if I touch them again after eating, they will slap me. If it weren't for a few days ago when they brought a few kittens to me and adopted their ancestors, I would have thought these were all heartless cats that I didn't know how to raise. Whenever I finish feeding them, I feel like a soldier who has completed a mission, facing the waning moon alone and leaving. But they treated me like a brave and skilled general, always leaving a dog and a cat behind me. Most people despise stray cats and dogs for being dirty, but when I cry alone in the face of the desolate moon, only they accompany me in whispering. Leaving tears rubbing against the head of a dog and the belly of a cat, I also find myself amused. Is that all for Xianxue Yaren? Is that all for seclusion and returning to the fields? Sometimes I also fantasize about a little horse arriving by my side. Preferably Yunbao. If the weather gets hot or cold, go back to the Western-style building and blow on the air conditioning. By the way, let the cats and dogs in to escape the heat and cold. They nestled together and ate meat, while also watching Pony. Friendship is magic with me. This is my only hope every day, and I read very frugally. It took me 3 or 4 years to read all the chapters, including those from outside my hometown and my peers, 3 times. That group of cats and dogs are also smart and tight, always withdrawing from my house before dawn to avoid being disliked by those around me. It's unnecessary, and I don't care about these things. I don't have many friends, and my phone is also clean. In addition to my 2 aunts' younger brothers and sisters who are concerned about me and occasionally call me via video, China Union also urges me for phone bills and promotes packages to me. There are also fraudsters and salespeople who call me. I'm quite proud of that. What I like is an extra rain, maybe because there is a rainbow after the rain. Sometimes I take advantage of the dense water curtain and dive in, standing in the rain stomping the puddle and waiting for the rainbow. At this moment, the dogs will run out and take me to have fun in the rain. The cat licked its fur with a disdainful expression on its face. After showering, it's necessary to take another hot shower. The bathroom is only 5 or 6 square meters large, with good warmth retention. When the hot water is turned on, the whole house is filled with water vapor, which is warm and gives people goosebumps. Cats are all squeezing in to lick their fur at this moment, and I also take advantage of it to wash my hair and make soap. Dogs will come in and soak in the hot rain after the cats have finished licking their fur. When you turn off the lights and rest in bed, you never fall asleep suddenly. In my idle mind, I always feel sentimental. The feeling of loneliness also surged at this moment, like the darkness around me, enveloping, tightening, and crushing me, pressing my alveoli hard to breathe. To dispel this emotion, I decided to sleep with the lights on and the TV on. However, after the cats and dogs arrived, I never turned on the TV. Firstly, it affected their sleep, and secondly, it was unnecessary. The snoring of these little guys is enough to make me feel at ease. I closed my diary and said good night to the cats and dogs. I turned off the light. Good night, little ones. Chapter 2, River God. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 3. First arrival at Xiaoma Valley. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 4. De Tu Er Rou Rou. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 5. One is indispensable. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 6. Sweet Apple Orchard. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 7. Laifu Cross Talk Society. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 8. Let's practice physical fitness. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 9. Laifu Opening. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 10. First Meeting of Cute Boy Scouts. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.